Fasten your seatbelts, folks.
Okay. Good afternoon. We should be live now on Facebook. We have another presentation going on that's running late. So I'll be starting just as soon as they complete. So in the meantime, I'll show some of the people that are here and what's going on this afternoon. Jeff, can you see it?
Looking good.
Good.
Camera's slow.
The good news is Facebook is not blocking me today. I've been blocked on and off with Facebook. Apparently, I say the wrong things for their sponsoring and for their counseling and for their censorship.
Probably about a 15-second delay or so is the first guess.
We're not opening that door.
Well, somebody's experiencing quite a bit of voltage drop, which I didn't have last time. In the office. I did get some kind of work. I think this one's been too resonated. That's why. Low snake. This one looks better.
Okay, we're still in a delay. We'll be starting fairly soon.
Experience glitches doing things too. Sometimes
That was
time
a He does that with me, yeah.
So, maybe we have to get that to work. I did try it one time at the office.
Ian, it's okay. Lie down. Lie down.
Got stepped on, got hurt.
All right, sorry, we are still in a delay. The other people are still doing whatever it is they're doing. So I'll be with you as soon as I can.
Perhaps we need to take a break and come back to this later.
We could.
You don't have to break it down, but leave it.
Yeah, just leave it up.
Can I offer a suggestion?
Go ahead.
Can we create a human type of, energy field and direct it toward that and see if it helps?
I'd rather not do it now.
Well, we have another presentation that's ready to roll.
Okay.
Yeah, we're scheduled. I'm on live broadcast. I need to get going. I've got people waiting.
Okay, this is shut off. Go ahead.
Thank you, thank you. You wanna know more?
I just want you guys to sense the other part of it.
Yeah.
Play with it once Ron's presentation.
Okay, sorry about the delay. We had another presenter. We're running a little bit late here. Sorry about people having to sit here and wait for 10 minutes with nothing going on. I'm Ronald Headley, and this is Warren Light Center 2, and we're broadcasting right now from somewhere in western Pennsylvania. We don't specify the direct location. My notes for today are on my site called disclosurepreparation.com. Standard spelling, both words. My lecture notes are there, and there's a lot of other information there. But my lecture notes and my links for today are on the very first post that you should see on disclosurepreparation.com. We also are a part or an extension of a place that was called Warren Light Center that used to be in existence. I think it was in existence something like 70 years, not too many miles from here. That is now closed. This is sort of an extension of that. There is a website for Warren Light Center. That website is warrenlightcenter.com. And you're more than welcome to go to that site. It's a public site. It talks a lot about the history of Warren Light Center, some of the people who founded it, some of the things that happened there over the years. And on that site is an area that says Warren Light Center 2, and that's what this group is all about. We also have a private group on Facebook, and that one I can't disclose. It's a private group anyway. That's an invitation only. All right, so let me get into what I want to get into today, and we'll go from there. It looks like we've got 5 or 6 people on live right now. There'll probably be some more coming, and I just sent a tweet out to a number of people a few minutes ago. So we've been talking about a lot of spiritual, metaphysical, psychic, energy things, on and on and on like that so far over the conference and over the weekend. Even things like earth preservation and that type of thing. And those things are important. And spirituality is important. And meditation is important. But also, something that is also important, and maybe I should say before I get started, is where do I get my information? Who am I connected with? I've been a part, I'm what's called an experiencer. I've been a part of Andromeda Council for a very, very long time. I've also been a part of what's called the Federation for a very, very long time. And I'm going to start off a little bit political because in 2015, and I don't really know the date or the month, there was a meeting, and in that meeting we were told that of course we knew we had a presidential election coming, and we were told that there is a lot of distortion, a lot of problems at all levels of our government. Yeah, environment's important. Yes, spirituality is important. But if we do not have control of our government, what good does it do this stuff, to do anything? And so we were told early in 2015, and I'm trying to think exactly when and where, but we were told that the current party in power had to go, and that there would be a cleansing, a cleanup of what's going on with our government, and also with corporations and with a number of things. I'm not going to get a lot into political things, but that's what we were told, and you will find that there are a number of very mystical, very high-powered groups around the country that are very pro with getting things cleaned up, getting people in power out of power, getting some things changed. One of the things that needs to happen is drug importation, illegal type. That has to go. Another thing that has to go is child trafficking and adult trafficking. And another thing that has to go is, of course, pedophilia. And these things occur at all levels and are occurring rampantly at all levels. In politics, in corporations, in places that you wouldn't believe, but where people are in power. And those people in power have essentially enslaved us. And what's going on, you may or may not understand it. And you may look at our current president and go, wow, this guy's totally insane. And I thought that too. But I looked at the other choice. And looking at the other choice, there's nowhere to go there except that's helping all of the elite, that's helping all of this stuff that's been going on. So that's not the choice. Yeah, maybe the guy's crazy. I don't know. But things are starting to shake loose and change. What we're seeing is our legislative branch, and my notes, by the way, and I'll repeat it for the people here if you've got computers, laptops, everything is on disclosure, recovery.com. It's a new site of mine. I have written for a number of years on a lot of things under a pseudonym. I have a lot of reasons for doing that pseudonym. Many of it has to do with the non-disclosure agreements, and more of it has to do with my own security clearance. I've recently gotten permission to do stuff like this in my own name, so I'm starting to do that. So far as non-terrestrials, like I say, I'm a contactee. I'm also an experiencer. I'm experienced in helping abductees in particular suffering from PTSD get over their abduction experience and begin to look at it and understand what that's all about and what happened to them. So that's part of the work that I do and part of my background. And a lot of my background, even on close questioning, I'm not allowed to talk about. So that's the way it is. But anyway, we know that people in power all over the place are corrupt. Our legislative branch is totally corrupt. Both the Democratic side and the Republican side and the independent side, there are people in that outfit that are corrupt. Our judicial system is corrupt. The Justice Department, FBI, CIA. We don't know how corrupt the NSA is because we don't know a lot about what the NSA is doing or where they're coming from. I can tell you this, though, it looks really, really corrupt. It looks really terrible. There are people inside all of these agencies that are really good people, really doing a good job, and they're white hats. And everything they do is extremely dangerous to their job. So what happens? What causes this? Well, there's special interest groups. There's of course power and money. Now, one of the things that's been going on for a while, and one of the most effective ways to control people, is separation. If we can get separation, if we can separate black people, white people, yellow people, Mexican people, on and on, if you can get the separation and cause a lot of dynamics in the separation, then you weaken everyone. Maybe another neat way would be, let's get really nasty and let's separate men from women. All races, where it's not even a racial thing anymore, but we separate men from women. So we get into, let's try the LGBT. So we'll do that separation. So we end up with conflict after conflict after conflict going on all over the world and all over this country. And in doing that, it weakens us, we the people, and it strengthens them. What we call the cabal, the establishment, it's being called the deep state, correctly so now. We need to take these people down. They're not going to do it in DC. They're not going to do it in our state or local governments. It's corrupt all the way down. The only way we can get it back is we need to come together. We need to get away from the separation. This last week, they've been doing there are nasty little pain points that are done, and they've been done for a long time. And people have learned that the way to maintain power and create separation, create anger, create outrage, one of the things is, well, let's get the story out there that there are innocent children being stripped from their mother's arms, to quote the mainstream media headlines. Quick note on mainstream media. It's only owned by 6 or 7 companies, all of it. And when you start seeing on mainstream media these same headline and these same talking points on 22 different news agencies, I can tell you that what's going on as you are being brainwashed, you are being controlled. So, is there any news sources that are clean? No. They're all corrupt in various different ways. How do you get good information? How is it possible to get good information? We've got a whole group out there called the independent media, and the independent media is doing a pretty good job of getting things out there really quickly as to what's going on. And if we can get that stuff out, and if we can start to come together and start to demand simple things, our government officials are elected. If they're not doing their job, or if they're somehow highly corrupt, and basically the way it is, if they're in there more than 8 or 9 years, they're corrupt. And we get into a problem with it. We get into, well, I know all these senators and congressmen, I know they're corrupt. But, my senator and my congressman, those are good guys. They're doing a good job. You're not right there. Look into their job. Take it back. Let's take our country back. And that's part of what I'm doing. That's part of what I'm talking about. I've been to some really interesting spiritual, metaphysical conferences, some with just a few hundred people, some with a few thousand. And there's this whole movement in the New Age, metaphysical, mystical conferences, places where you would never expect this to happen, of people going, let's take our country back. And that's what we're trying to do. So we've got these pain, we've got these emotional points, children taken from their parents. Is that true? No. There's thousands of kids coming across the border unaccompanied, or they're being trafficked. Very, very few, less than 10%, are actually coming in with a relative. And even fewer than that are coming in with their own parents. So what has to happen at the border is, yes, there is separation. There's a temporary separation that happens, And if the kids cannot be identified as crossing with their parents, and that crossing is illegal, by the way, there's nothing legal about coming into this country that way. Okay, so they're separated from their parents. Where do they go? The rumor out there is they're going to these terrible labor camps that sound something like Germany and Nazi Germany. That's brainwashing. That's mind control. That's what's happening. This is how they control you. So, what's really happening, and I have been personally to 2 of the places where the children go. They're beautiful, nice Walmarts, used to be, and they're divided in 4 ways. Part number 1 is teenage females, 2 male females, high school age. 3 is middle school, and that's usually mixed sex. And 4 are prenatal, young children. And they're taken care of by HHS, House and Health and Human Services. The people who work there are wonderful people.
Teenagers are the first.
Huh?
Females, and then teenage.
You've got teenage females, teenage males, they're separate.
Okay.
You've got an area where it's more
Middle
like
school.
grade school, and that's a mixed group. And then you've got an area that are not grade school.
Okay.
And these kids are being taken care of in really nice facilities. They've got beds, they've got sheets, they've got blankets, there's a restaurant in there, they've got banks of phones, they can call long distance any place, anytime they want for free. The people with HHS that work with these kids are wonderful people. They're Health and Human Services. A lot of them are volunteers and part-time government people and so on. The facilities are probably nicer than where you went to elementary school or daycare. The people there are very dedicated. So yes, the kids get separated. And let's take an important point there. Let's say that Joe and Mary are out here down the road in a trailer, and they're making methane, and they're selling methane, and they're selling opioids, and they got 3 kids, okay? And the police show up. What happens to those kids? Well, family services is called. The kids are separated from their parents for doing this illegal activity, and they may even be put in foster homes and things like that because of that illegal activity. That is exactly what is going on our southern border. Do we need a wall? I don't know. We need to enforce our laws. We have laws about crossing, and we have tens of thousands of people violating those laws. And I'm not saying that as hyperbole. I'm saying that in that I have been to at least 2 of those facilities where they house children that have come across illegally or they've been trafficked. There's been tremendous work by ICE in getting this trafficking shut down. What happens to a trafficked kid? They're basically trafficked in, and they're become sex slaves to the super rich and the super elite, the very people who are controlling everything. So we need to take it back. But that's the truth of the border. Now, here's the one that's really, really concerning. We have an election coming up in November. Our last election, we had 50%, 1/2 of the population didn't vote. Registered voters. We don't know how many unregistered voters, but 50% didn't vote. They didn't take the effort to go and vote. What does it take? 20 minutes at most? 25% voted for one party, 25% voted for the other. And immediately when the one party won, the other party became almost dangerous and started trying to, they thought that they were going to control our last election. They were absolutely guaranteed of it because we really have not, we the people, haven't been in control of who runs this country for a very long time, number of years. It's always been staged. They stage it from party to party so that they keep this separation and this war going on. And that's crazy. All that does is make us weaker. We need to come together. We don't need this racial stuff. We don't need this split between black and white and Hispanics and all this anti-gun and pro-gun and the Me Too and Black Lives Matter and Antifa. All of this stuff, we don't need it. This stuff causes dangerous situations. It causes insanity, and it causes the thing that we see. Now, how many here have heard of Q? Does anybody here know of Q? Do they know of the QAnon stuff? Okay, I don't know who Q is. My friends that are very close to government activities and a couple of personal friends that are very close to our current president in their government jobs, they don't know either. But I can tell you, whether you agree or disagree with the Q material, what's going on with that stuff is it is teaching people to wake up, ask questions, look at things in a different way, think about what's going on, and seeing if you can make a difference. I recommend at least taking a look at the Q material. One of the people I like who's translating, and a lot of people are translating, Q just puts out stuff that's kind of hard to understand, or it's questions, or a lot of things like that. It's designed specifically to make people think, to make people wake up. And that's what's important here, is waking up. Is waking up, looking around, going, man, this is a mess. And waking up, looking around, going, no longer, they're going to fix it. They're not going to fix it. They're going to, whoever they are, both political parties, all of these agencies, all of these super elites are only going to do what makes them get more power, more money, and more control. The more power, money, and control they get, the less we are controlled. We are actually enslaved. Have been for a while, and it's getting worse. It's getting to, I can tell you for a fact, I don't have one, but if I had one of the red hats with the mega on it and went walking around in almost any major city in this country, I could get killed.
What does MAGA mean?
Mega.
What's a red hat?
MEGA?
Make America great again. The Trump red hat. Make America great. Okay? Okay, if I ran around with that hat on in this country, I could get killed. One of my friend's teenage boys did exactly that. And he wasn't thinking or whatever. He was wearing the MAGA hat, the red one, in a major city here in America, and out with some other teenage friends of his. He damn near got killed. He got beat to a pulp by Antifa. Now, do you understand what Antifa is? I can show you emails that I have personally received from Antifa, and here's the way it works. We're going to have an anti-conservative, anti-Republican demonstration at X city. We will pay you $35 an hour if you'll go. We will furnish you with your travel, your hotel, your meals. If you get on a major news network, you get a bonus of $100. If you end up in jail, don't worry about it. We're going to get you out of jail. We'll pay your bail. But if you cause enough havoc that you get put in jail, you're going to get $300 to $400. So Antifa is that's a paid gig. People go in there. You can be anybody. You can be a crisis actor. You can pick up $500 to $1,000 in a weekend by being a jerk and yelling and screaming and stopping traffic on the interstate and that kind of thing. I've got emails to prove that that's what these people are doing. Okay, do we need that kind of stuff here in America? I don't have a problem with demonstrations. I don't, and that's part of our right. But this is weaponized. This is targeted. This is controlled. So we need to fight back. So step one, I don't care what political party, vote. Get your neighbors to vote. This 50% of the population not voting, that's crazy. Half the people either don't care or they don't take the effort to just go out and vote. And that's part of the problem. You gave your power away. And other part of the problem is you're getting caught up in all of the separation. And the separation stuff is causing a lot of fear, a lot of anger. A lot of people are my age here. We've seen a lot of presidents. We've seen a lot of elections. Does anybody remember after an election getting anywhere, either party, any time? And I can remember at least a Kennedy. I can a little bit remember Eisenhower. But we never had this. You go to the election and you got your Party A sticker and you got your Party B sticker and you vote and somebody wins and somebody loses. And then you just kind of back off and you kind of let people do their job. And it's just not happening anymore. It's crazy. So take a look at possibly Praying Medic is one that I like very much with his Q translations. I've not met him personally, but one I have met personally is Tracy Beans. Tracy Beans is doing a lot of political commentary and diagnostics. I've met her personally. I went to her rally in April. She's a real deal, and she really cares about this country a lot. She does very valid research. So I kind of go with whoever Tracy Beans may recommend. Another one out there, he goes under a lot of these people communicate on Twitter, and I don't know how many people here do, but one that goes by Howard Finch, I believe. That is not his real name. I have known him for years and years and years. He's a government insider. It's about all I'm going to say about him. I trust what he says. I've been in situations where I know who he is, what he's doing, and so on. So these are some people I trust. I think that it's a good idea to at least pay attention to Q and pay attention to what is going on there. The effort there is an attempt to try to take the power back. It's not really as partisan as many people might think it is. It's really about taking the power back. There's a lot of white hats inside of government agencies. There's a lot of awfully good people inside of government agencies. Right now, the very top of the agencies, FBI, CIA, Justice, State, the tops of those agencies are corrupt. And we know that. And we're trying to get rid of them. Start looking at the scorecard. Start looking at some of the corporations. How many people in power in the last year and a half have quit, resigned, been fired? We don't have very many, only a couple at this point, that have been jailed. There's going to be more. There will be people. They have broken the law. Are people going to go to jail. But you've got to be patient here because you can't go to jail unless you've got a Justice Department, judges, lawyers that at least are going to give you a fair chance. If let's say you're selling drugs and you get caught and you go to the judge and the judge is the wholesaler for drugs in your area, do you think you're going to do well? Do you think you're going to go to jail? No, you're going to get acquitted. You're going to get thrown out of there. It's that crooked. So there's a lot of stuff that has to happen. One of the things to think about, not necessarily to go to or attend, but I think we're going to have a really interesting event coming up in DC. It's called the Walkaway Movement. It will be October 24, 25, 26. The rally will be the 25th. Now, we do rallies. We don't tear up stuff. We make it a little loud. We don't tear up stuff. We do not block highways. We sure don't get in fights with police. We're peacefully talking about trying to get the corruption out. It's called Walkaway. It's DC. It's Saturday, the 25th of October. More than welcome to come. There isn't any charge. There's places that you can actually reserve lots in parking garages for $10 a day online. So you've even got a parking place in DC. Saturday traffic isn't that bad in DC. It's during the week is when you don't want to go there. We don't know how many people are coming. We know that we're getting a lot of support and we're getting a lot of interest. We're walking away from the corruption. We're walking away from the deep state. We're walking away from this nonsense. We're taking our country back. And we don't really care. The thing to understand is presidents come and go. The longest a president's going to be there is 8 years. What really matters is congressmen and senators that are there for 20, 30 years, and all of the money laundering and all of the stuff that they do to get things going. It's just the entire government is corrupted. Now, something to understand is even our economy and the money is wrong. Who's profiting from all this stuff? There's money missing, and who's profiting? I think one of the best people out there to talk about what's happening to the money is a lady called Catherine Austin Fitts. Now, if you go to the website, some of these things that I highlight, you can simply click on them. It's going to take you to a movie, or at least their YouTube page, or maybe their website page, or whatever. All right, next thing. Let's talk about something really important. Let's talk about 9/11.
What was that, Catherine Austin?
Catherine Austin Fitts. It's on,
Fitz,
yeah,
F-I-T-S.
it's on the website. All you got to do is go to disclosurepreparation.com.
Okay.
It's there, the talk's there, the links are there. Catherine talks about what happens to the money. And one of the things you have to understand in anything political or anything with the deep state or anything with all of that is, where's the money going? Who gets rich off of this? Who profits? And how? When you understand that, you start to understand. Now, next thing, 9/11. If you believe that a bunch of Arabs with box knives who had a little few hours flying a Cessna 172 were able to pull that operation off, hitting 2 skyscrapers, hitting the Pentagon, and supposedly crashing out in the middle of Pennsylvania, you're crazy. That absolutely could not have happened in the way that our government and our mainstream media told us it happened. It's just not possible. It couldn't have happened the way they say. Buildings like that don't just fall down. And I don't have the link here, but there's an engineer. Her name is Dr. Judy Woods. And she talks some about 9/11. I have a link here on 9/11, and I'm not sure where this one goes, but I think it goes, I know where it goes. It's Richard Dolan, D-O-L-A-N, is probably one of the most valid UFO researchers there is out there. He's been out there for years. Richard Dolan doesn't do any sort of hype. He researches carefully. And he also does false flags and some political stuff. And I think the link on here, and I know it does, it's going to go to Richard Dolan's presentation this year on 9/11. And it was incredible. He's pointing out things that could not have happened and we all believe it did. So Richard Dolan's is a good one. Let's look at non-terrestrials, ETs, UFOs. Richard Dolan has got, and I've got another link in here on Richard Dolan that goes out to something where he's talking about ETs and UFOs. He believes that these exist. There are people out there that think that they're all non-threatening, harmless. I don't agree with that. Richard Dolan doesn't agree with that. I believe that there is a mixture between peaceful non-terrestrials and non-peaceful non-terrestrials. And so we maybe need to align ourselves to the ones that make sense to us. Another person who's really good, and I've got a link on the website, is Linda Moten Howe. Linda has been out there looking at UFOs and cattle mutilations since the 70s. And that's about when I met her, somewhere in the 70s. So alien abduction and alien contactee and alien experiencers, this kind of stuff, a lot of this stuff is a lot of hype. It's not true, it's not real, but some of it actually is the real deal. People like Richard Dolan and Linda Moten Howe are going to keep you on track. The establishment is into one world order, the Bilderbergers, deep state. Every aspect in our life is controlled in one way or another. Society is changing. It creates stress. It creates, interestingly enough, health problems. And health and problems and that kind of thing is what I want to really get onto. That's all corrupt too. We've got this thing called Big Pharma, pharmaceutical companies. There are 13 pharmacy companies. And those pharmacy companies, and I'm missing, if you see that bag right there is really, really heavy, if somebody could bring it to me. In pharmaceuticals, we have 13 or 14 companies that control all the drugs, everything that we take. If you're involved in medicine in any way, the first thing that happens to you when you become involved in medicine, collegiately, in college, nurse, doctor, that kind of thing, they give you one of these. It's called the Physician's Desk Reference. It's free. You get it every year. If you had to buy this thing, I don't know what it costs. But the thing is, interestingly enough and strangely enough, arranged by drug manufacturer. They'll enlist a drug manufacturer in all of the drugs that they make. And then another and another and another. All of our prescribing of medicines in our current day medical system is based on this. And there's a lot of good information here. But let's talk briefly about what in the world happens with drugs. And it's happening for those of you that are doing the sublingual marijuana drops. What is that? What are the letters? Huh? Huh?
CBDs.
CBD. Okay. Something to watch out here. And this is typical of Big Pharma. They look at things that are going on. Big Pharma is starting to find out that at least in the area of seizures, CBD oil works. And so here's how the pharmacy companies work. They'll take something, a plant, something that's causing an effect. They look at it very carefully. They synthesize the small part that's causing that effect. And then they make a synthetic version of it. They have succeeded in creating a synthetic CBD oil and a way to put the drops under the tongue. I just read this morning there's been 3 deaths from synthetic CBD, and there's been 52 people seriously hospitalized, 24 of which are in maybe non-reversible coma from CBD. Now, there's thousands and thousands of people taking CBD oil and nobody's having any effects. Why is the Big Pharma version doing this? They synthesized a piece. They made an artificial version. And there's real problems with this. Let's take one I'm familiar with. Let's take the plant Digitalis foxglove. It grows around here. You might find it out here. You can use this plant in a tea. You can eat it. You can use it in a salad. It won't harm you. So the pharmaceutical companies years ago found out that they could synthesize digitalis from digitalis foxglove. And they did that. But it was too hard to deal with all of the plants and all of the things needed to refine the digitalis oil. So they made a synthetic version. Now, the synthetic version, the digitalis that you use for heart problems, is really, really, really dangerous. If you don't have heart problem and you take a couple of those things accidentally, you will have a heart problem. And if you don't have an EMT around, you may not survive. The plant won't hurt you. Isn't that interesting? But Big Pharma is like that. Now, here's what's happened to us. Besides giving away our government and all of this cabal and all of these deep state things, we've done some other things in the last 50 years. We used to have gardens. We used to grow our own food. We used to, if we didn't grow food or if we didn't have chickens, we'd go down the road and we'd get our eggs down the road. And maybe you'd get your chickens down the road someplace else. They were coming from small farms. Our fruits and vegetables were coming from small farms, and they were coming in locally. And now everything is done by huge commercial farms. We got everything locally. We had long-term stuff, and we were doing our own things. We had our own garden, and everybody knew how to can. My mother and my grandmother always canned stuff, and we had a root cellar, and on and on. Now, the other thing that we do food-wise that's absolutely insane is, sure, we're getting a lot of processed foods. And processed foods, it's real simple. When you go to the grocery store and you read the ingredients in something in a box, and it's got huge long names that you can't say, them's chemicals. And we don't know if them's chemicals in there are good for you or if they're not. But I can tell you, if you can't say the word, that's some sort of chemical. And it may not be the best thing in the world for you. So if you can go to a farmer's market to get food, to get things to help you, that can help. If you can get your chickens from some place that's like a small farm, that can help. There's an awful lot of antibiotics and all kinds of stuff in chickens, in beef, and the way we produce things. So the more we can become local, and the more we can become in contact with like our farmers market, our local people, and make sure where your sources are, the better you are. The less preservatives inside of your foods that you buy, preservatives and chemicals and all of that kind of stuff, probably the better off you are. We don't know what this stuff does to us. There's a lot of suspicion out there, but we don't know scientifically. So one of the others to be aware of is foods in season. Okay, it's hot out. Not today, but it has been for the last couple of weeks. All right, this is a good time to eat citrus. Oranges and grapefruit and tangerines, wonderful time to eat citrus. Where does citrus grow? Really hot, humid parts of the country. Florida, California. Now, the wrong time to eat citrus is in the winter. If you eat citrus in the winter, it's not natural for citrus to be in cold weather climates. It doesn't grow there. And particularly if you start getting cold sores, flu, that kind of thing in the winter, one of the first things that you need to do is to quit the citrus immediately, particularly cold sores. Quit the citrus fruits immediately and go to something that's preserved or grows locally in your area. Want to replace it with something? Good replacement for orange juice in the morning, particularly in the winter, is cranberry juice. Cranberries grow in cold climates. Okay, so if you get canker sores, colds, and flu in the winter, first thing to do, drop citrus, replace it with things that grow in your area in the winter. Cranberry is a good replacement, for example. There's a lot of others. We've got one of the things that's really interesting is we have a poison out there. Definite poison. It's a proven poison. It's been out there for a long time. It's called white sugar. That is poison. Want something sweet? Need something to sweeten your coffee? How about honey? How about honey from your local area? From the beehive down the road 5 miles. Do you know what happens when you eat when you put honey in your coffee from 5 miles away, or if you chew the honey from a local hive, the wax. If you've got allergies, you don't need Allegra anymore. Allegra is dangerous. If you've got allergies, you can simply go to your local beekeeper, get a hold of comb honey, chew the wax 3 or 4 times a day. Your allergies will go away better than Allegra can do it. Okay? Sugar, refined sugar, is an absolute poison. It's been known as a poison for a long time. It used to be a long time ago, the super elites used white sugar, basically in the United Kingdom, used white sugar to kill their prisoners. It was used as a poison. It was used as a toxin. We've gotten a little bit used to it, but we also have unbelievable amounts of diabetes, stage 2. I've got it. A lot of other people do. So we've got those things to think about. Let's think about what we're eating and where we're sourcing. Another one to think about, we all drink water. We pour the water out of our city tap or our well or our rain barrel. We make our coffee, we drink it. And maybe you ought to run some water tests to see what's in your water, particularly city water. I ran into this one myself recently. I was really surprised. I was running into an interesting condition that I thought that it had something to do with being a male of a certain age. And I did some water testing and found out my local water supply, and I don't normally drink water, but I do drink coffee. Water I drink is oftentimes bottled water. Or I've got one of those little charcoal things in the refrigerator. The water I had had fluoride, a lot of it. I got a good water filter system. Mine happens to be a reverse osmosis, but I got a good water filtration system. And interestingly enough, the particular problem I was having went away in 2 days after I put the water filter in. And the doc wanted to start me on a medication. Good, I need more of those for this particular problem. And the problem was blood in the urine. And pure water, it went away. So one of the things to look at, even if you've got spring water, you might want to take a look at the old standby favorite. It's called Berkey. It's got a couple of stainless steel tanks that sit on top of each other, and you dump the water in. It takes quite a while for the water to come down through the filter into the bottom tank. It's not very expensive. It's old, tried and true. You can actually take water out of a stream or a river and pour it in this thing. It's perfectly safe to drink after, particularly if you got the fluoride filters on it. That's one way. And
B-E-R-K-Y?
B-E-R-K-E-Y, yeah. It's the old standby. Those of us that kind of old hippies and that used to live in the communes, we all had those because we didn't necessarily have electricity. So we all had the Berkey sitting on the counter in the commune, and we dump our rainwater or our stream water in through the Berkey and drink it. And we found out that what we were doing was a pretty good thing. Berkey's still out there. It's a good product. I'm using one from the Perfect Water Home Master is what I'm using. This is reverse osmosis. Now, reverse osmosis takes out all of the bad stuff, all of the viruses, all of the bacteria, all of the sedimentation, all of the metals. But it also takes out all of the good minerals. So when you're into just a reverse osmosis system, you're into just minerals. And so you need to know that there are water systems out there that'll take out, your metals, your amoeba, your bacteria, your virus, all the stuff you want to take out of there. And they also will run the water through a mineral bath and bring back the minerals as the last stage. The Perfect Home Water Master, or the Perfect Water, their model Home Master, does that. You can get it from Amazon. Don't do it. Get it from the company. If you're looking into this, you're looking into a good water filter system. They also have whole house systems. Buy it from the company. What they did for me, because I bought it from them instead of Amazon, is they gave me 3 extra filters and a new UV light thing, so that after my first year, or how many ever gallons before I have to change the filters, I've got my first year paid for. It would have cost $250 for the replaceable filters. So that was a good deal. So, and I've got the link there. Now, we're all exposed to health challenges, colds, flus, seasonal allergies. And they tell us, go out and get a flu shot. Okay, do you want the flu? Okay, if you really want to get the flu, go get the flu shot. Try to stay away from as many vaccines and inoculations as you can. When I was a small child, and many of you too, yeah, we had shots when we were in high school, and some of these things are pretty important. Not all vaccines are totally bad. They did some interesting things with polio. They did some interesting things with some very bad diseases that used to exist with vaccines. But do kids really need to have 83 different vaccines before they go to kindergarten? I don't think so. I think that the more you expose to vaccines, the more in danger you are. Now also, you know how you go to your vet and your vet every year gives your dog or your cat vaccines? You don't need to do that. There's a test out there called a titer, and they can see if your dog is immune or not to these diseases that dogs get. If they're immune,
Cats?
titer, T-I-T-E-R.
Is it the same for cats?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you don't need these vaccines if the animal is immune. So you do a titer, and most of the vets will do it. If they don't, you can find vets that do, and labs. If the titer's okay, they don't need to be revaccinated. And this revaccination in dogs is causing arthritis, heart problems, and epilepsy. So you don't need to do that. If they're immune, you leave it alone. And so you got to understand something really important that's going on. If you go to your family doctor, you're probably going to see more drug dealers in the waiting room of your family doctor than you'll find on the street in your town. Every single doctor's office has got these pharmacy people visiting and pushing their drugs. That's about the only thing that doctors know about pharmacy these days and about that kind of thing, is because of the drug salesman. They don't know really what's in the PDR, but they know that such and such place gave you this. Well, the pharmacy people didn't quit with our physicians. They've been hanging out in the vet's office, our veterinarian's office. So our veterinarians believe that, okay, anybody hear of NexGard or oral flea and tick control?
I've heard of it.
Very, very, very dangerous. This stuff has been killing dogs and paralyzing them. We're seeing paralysis. We're seeing dead dogs with these. There's 3 of these, and I don't know their names off the tip of my tongue. But the drug companies have been going in there saying, yeah, these internal flea and tick things will cure your flea and tick problem, and they do. But your dog can end up paralyzed, epileptic, or dead. Nexum is one, and I don't remember the other 2, but they're easily found. Don't need that stuff. There's ways to get rid of fleas and ticks and all of that. So Big Pharma is roaming around in our veterinarian offices, our doctor's offices. Are there alternatives? Yes. One of the alternatives, and I don't know if Deb is still around, but people like Deb might know about this. You can go out, there are books that you can go out into the woods. If you got a book like this, The Lost Book of Remedies, this whole book has got pictures of plants, how to preserve them, how to identify them, how to preserve them, and how to use these, kind of make your own medicine. Years ago, when we went to the pharmacy, they had bottles and bottles and bottles, various different herbs and various different plants and various different tinctures, and that's what was at your old Rexall drugstore. And your doctor would write a prescription, and the pharmacist would mix this stuff with a mortar and a pretzel and maybe make a tincture out of this dried plant and give it to you as your medicine, as a tonic, as something you drank, or something that you took in various different ways. Well, it's all, they don't even have that stuff anymore. I don't think pharmacies, they've still got the mortar and pretzel there. I don't think they ever use it. But we used to, the pharmacy would make up our medicines. Now it's all coming from big pharma. So a place to start is natural stuff, herb stuff. There's books like this. Now I wouldn't want to do it because I probably couldn't tell the difference between poison ivy and other stuff. And I can tell you, I can't. I ran into poison ivy, didn't recognize it, and had a real bad reaction to it. But there are people out there that know. Now, there's other stuff out there.
I'll show it to you. Anybody wants some?
Okay, and I'm going to be wrapping up in just a minute. I'm going to wrap in just a minute because one of the things that you can do is certainly natural, making some of your own medications, poultices, tinctures, that kind of thing. Another thing to think about is essential oils. Essential oils are made from medicinal plants, and they're, as long as you get it from good companies, as long as they're well sourced, these things can help you. And you can learn to deal with essential oils. Basically, essential oils can be put in you can put them on your skin. You can diffuse them out into the air, breathe them, or you can put them in capsules, take them internally. You need to kind of know what you're doing when you're taking this stuff internally. You also need to kind of know what you're doing when you're putting it on your skin. A lot of essential oils are pure. All essential oils from reputable companies are very pure. Some of these things you may want to cut them way down with coconut oil before you put them on your skin. They can burn. But there's good stuff out there. I ran into this. It's called the Aromatherapy Companion. One of my favorites is the Essential Life. This has got, there are two multi-level marketing companies out there, Young Living and doTERRA. And this is about their products. Young Living and doTERRA have the same blends, and those blends have different names with each company, but they do the same thing. And then they have the same pure single oils. So take a look at oils. I ran into this recently. Very good book on essential oils. How to mix them, how to start using it. You can use essential oils to replace a lot of your medicine. The biggest thing that we need to do is we need to take responsibility for our own health. Educate ourselves. Find a natural path or a natural, somebody into natural stuff, or do your own research. You can end up not taking the pharmacies. We're all going to end up on pharmaceuticals, probably. The pharmaceutical companies are not interested in cures. They're interested in long-term patients. Probably most of us are on maybe something for blood pressure. Maybe something, I'm on one drug, almost, I'm on two, getting down to one now for diabetic. My doctor, we've got a pill for that, and don't worry, we've got a pill for the side effects, and don't worry, we've got an injection for the side effects of the side effects. But I'm upsetting him because he had me on 3, I dropped 1, I'm almost ready to drop the second one, and my blood sugar is staying very regular because I'm doing some things with some supplements, I'm doing things with essential oils, and I'm hoping to get to a point where even the metformin, I can tell them, hey, looks like I don't need this stuff anymore. That makes the pharmacy companies cry. They think that what should happen is you get used to the drug, so you should be taking more or different ones. They increase your dose or they give you more drugs on top of the drugs. And if you can learn to take some sort of responsibility, do some education, get to know your own body, then you can start to reduce or get off the drugs. I've got a new herbal formula coming in within a couple of days that some of the people that are diabetic type 2 like me have been trying. Government wants to ban it. It's been working for some people. I'll be trying this and I'll know. I use an electromagnetic field device every day. I've had it here a few times. What has that thing done? Well, I used to have hearing aids. Now I don't. I used to have another male problem that we have, and I was taking medication for this, and I had 2 pills for that. I'm down to 1, and I don't even need that one every day. So my prostate is becoming better. Now, this is a problem, and here's a problem when it comes to medical stuff. I can tell you stuff that where something natural or something alternative has helped me. I can't tell you that my neighbor down the road used my, in this case, Beamer device, and this, and this happened. I can't do that. They will arrest me for practicing medicine without a license. I can talk in very general ways about what's going on with me, but I'm not allowed to name the condition or the disease. The FDA and the drug companies and the big pharma and government has got that much control that I can't sit here and tell you, hey, I've got a way to cure, and if I say a disease, if I say, well, I've got a blood sugar problem, I've got this herbal remedy that may help that, I can say that. But I can't tell you that what the name of the disease is or the herbal remedy, or I can be arrested. Isn't that crazy? We are not in control of our body. Big Pharma wants us under control. So the things to know is a lot of the diseases we get as we get older have to do with stress and fear and anger. These things don't help. If you're stressful, if you're sad, if you're depressed, if you're angry, this isn't helpful. You may want to study some of the stuff that everybody here has been talking about all weekend. Meditation and prayer and positive thinking, and try to change your thinking around a little bit. Stinking thinking causes physical problems, and those physical problems, your physician is glad to go to his PDR and give you 2 or 3 chemicals that you go over to the drugstore and you take, and your insurance company's probably going to pay for part of it. That's what they want you to do. One of the things that we want to avoid, if we can do it, is nursing homes. So we want to stay in our own. I don't know if I'm going to reconnect. There we go. I just lost my live feed. I'm running over time. So I want to thank everybody who's tuned in. And the video will be, it'll be on my YouTube channel. I'll try to get it in the Warren Light Center group, and I'll be putting it on my site. There are some links in there that are really helpful. There are some things that you can do to make yourself better. Now, one of the best things that you can do for everything that I talked about, political problems, the cabal, all of that, health problems and stress and anxiety and natural things and meditation and prayer, probably the most helpful thing is to be around like-minded people. If you can be around like-minded people and you can openly discuss this stuff, all of it openly and freely, it helps your own health. Quickest way, you don't need a lot of these drugs. You may, but maybe you don't need to keep getting stronger drugs or more of them or more of them and more of them. Maybe there's something else out there working. And be aware that coming together with like-minded people is extremely useful. It's one of the biggest things that we don't do anymore. We not only don't have our own little garden in our backyard, we don't even know who the hell lives next door to us. or in the same apartment complex, and that's crazy. We used to know. We used to have community things. Even where I grew up in a very rural area, we had things at our one-room schoolhouse. I went to one-room school, all 8 grades in elementary, one room, one teacher. Okay? But we had things at our little schoolhouse for the neighborhood, bingo games, and potluck suppers, and things where we knew everyone in our community, and they knew us. And that we have lost track of. So, in closing, a big part of it, sharing information, using the internet. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff out there. But coming together with like-minded people. And with that, I'm going to let it go and go ahead and, if I can figure out how to get out of here, we'll close the video down.
Always welcome, thank you, always. We gotta make room for pizza